I want to give you a little tip on how I do it all while keeping my kids happy and content, and that's wearing them in the Ergo Baby Omni 360. I love my Ergo Baby Omni 360 because it allows me to get stuff done while they want to be held. In the 360, you can actually use it from the point that they're that little tiny human nugget that's all squishy and really needy up until the point that they might actually break your back. Although there is great support. I use it when they're cranky at dinner time, but obviously someone still needs to make dinner. Cleaning, DJing. Go to fruitsofmotherhood.com/ergobaby to get free express shipping on any order. That's fruitsofmotherhood.com/ergobaby. Now back to this amazing episode. Hi, my name is Linda Fruits from Fruits of Motherhood, and I am particularly excited to be speaking to Brooke today from The Weathered Mom. Because I've known her for 3 years and we've practically raised our firstborns together. And then we had a second litter of children. And I say litter because she had twins and high risk twins at that, which is exactly what we will be talking about today. And then B, I'm super excited because I love her. So first, I'm going to have you introduce yourself and tell everyone why our hair looks like this.
Okay. So I'm Brooke. I have twins. I always wear their hair like this. So I wanted us to be twins. Space buns are my favorite. And then I have a toddler boy as well who has really long hair. And I mean, I don't do space buns on him, but I do buns on him. The man bun. So I thought the buns were just fitting.
You're a bun kind of family.
Yeah.
And what do you do besides be a mom all day long?
So I work as a pediatric emergency room nurse. And then when I'm not doing that, which is all the time, I'm momming every day.
Yeah. That's the harder job. Okay, and tell me your kids' names and their ages.
So Logan just turned 3 exactly 2 weeks ago. And the twins are London and Peyton, and they just turned 1 exactly a week ago.
Which, as most people know, is literally the same exact age as my kids. Mm-hmm. And for other people who are listening, so they can, be a part of this and feel the same pain as us.
Yeah, pretty much nailed being pregnant at the same time and then having the kids. The boys are 10 days apart, and then the twins and Owen are 9. They're about almost 3, about 3 weeks apart.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. So, exactly.
And let's tell everyone how we met, because that's kind of a funny story.
So we met at Mommy and Me class. Gosh, thinking of those classes. We were at a gym where they do the kids classes, and we had a mutual friend that was in the class. And
shout out to Emma.
Yeah. She's probably sitting there waiting for us to call her name.
Yeah, I was like, let's just call her by her name so she feels good.
So yeah, Emma introduced us. It was from then that we just had a lot in common besides, being a mom, and our friendship just took off.
Mm-hmm. And so we were so close that the day that you found out that you were having twins, I happened to be really lucky to find out first. Can you tell me about that day?
I don't even know if Mark knows that you knew before him.
Well, just now he knows.
He probably won't watch this. It's fine. No, I actually meant to ask him earlier because I was thinking of that, you found out. So I went to my ultrasound, and I had already had an ultrasound. They saw before that ultrasound, the girl was like, "Oh, do you have twins in the family?" And I was like, "Why? Are there 2 babies?" And she's like, "No, I'm just asking." And I was like, "Okay." And she kept scanning, and there, no signs of 2 babies. And we went on and, told our family. And then I started bleeding, and I had to do a scan. And I did it early morning before going to work. I went in, and the guy started scanning me. He's like, "Oh, there's 2, right?" And I'm like, "2 what?" And he's like, "2 babies." He's like, "Aren't you a nurse? Like, can't you see 2 babies on the screen?" And I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "But where did this baby come from?" I was like, "On mirror image, are you sure there's 2? Where did this one come from?" So that was when I was freaking out because I had to work the rest of the day before I told Mark. And then I had called you because I had to tell someone and I wanted to wait to tell our family and stuff.
Yeah, creatively. I get the short straw.
But yeah, I had because we had always joked about twins. We said that you were going to have twins, but I was going to look like I was having twins. And
yeah, because my mom is a twin. And so that's why we've been talking about it since the day we both found out we were pregnant. Yeah. It was you.
One way or another.
Right? And so how did you end up telling Mark, your husband?
So that night I got off work. I had printed at work a picture of the ultrasound because when you do it outpatient, they don't print one. So I had printed it and it had like a blue hue to it. And I brought it home and I couldn't do anything cute. I just needed to tell him. So I walked in the door, didn't even put anything down, I don't think said hi to Logan. And I said, here. And I was recording him and he like opened it confused and it had the blue hue and he's like, oh my God, it's a boy. And I was like, no. I was like, keep looking. And he's like, twins. And I was like excited all day. Like, I had processed it a bit and he's twin. And I was like, yeah, is that your reaction? And we joked about it to this day that he was silent and speechless the rest of the night. Like he was just walking around like in space.
I remember you sending me videos of him in the kitchen, just like
staring and he just couldn't process it. And I guess because I had processed it all day.
Right. Which makes total sense.
Yeah. And I guess, guys react differently. And it was the next day that he finally was like, oh my gosh, this is really cool. I'm really excited. So like thank God you came around.
Right? Because guess what? We're still two.
Yeah.
That's too funny. And tell me how you guys met, because I think this is also pretty cool.
Mark and I met, we were like 4 and 5 years old. I'm like 9 months older than him. We were in the same kindergarten class and we grew up together. Our brother and sister knew each other first because they're 2 grades older than us. So they were friends. And then we became friends. We were on the same sports teams growing up. In middle school, he dated a few of my friends. And then we were good friends in high school. Then we reconnected in college. And that was when we started dating. And we've been together ever since.
Not elementary school sweethearts.
Yeah. So we dated per middle school, I guess, standards. I had my friend break up with him for me. And yeah, it was like a quick fling, 6th grade.
Oh my gosh. I remember doing that when I was that young, breaking up with my friends' boyfriends for them. That's too funny.
Yeah.
And so I don't even remember exactly. When did they tell you that you were high risk? Like at what point was that? So
that day that I found out it was twins when I was alone, I was almost 11 weeks. I think I was like a day or 2 shy. And the text said, they're mono twins, which means that they share a sac and a placenta. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I wasn't listening. I didn't care, identical, fraternal. I was just hearing there's 2 babies, there's twins.
Right.
Didn't process anything. So he told me, you shouldn't tell anyone. It's really likely that you'll lose one. And so I'm like, okay, I'm like, do I not tell my parents? And he's like, I wouldn't. And so I was like, all right, and yeah, so when I found out it was high risk so they won't really diagnose you with mono until you're a little bit later, officially diagnose you a little bit later, and you see the specialist. So when you're that early, a lot of people are told with identical twins that they think they're mono. Around 16 weeks, a lot of people will find out, they have a separating membrane and, whatever. So I went to the I went to the specialist at 12 weeks. Mm-hmm. And they said, listen, usually by now we would have found the membrane. They said, there's still a chance at 16 weeks when you come back. They said, but really we don't think so. Mm-hmm. And in that appointment, they explained the risks to me of mono twins. And they said that they asked me if I wanted to terminate. And they told me that the chance of losing them was really high and, all the risks, and super nonchalant. And thank God Mark was there with me because I was like, I couldn't hear anything. Once he said like, you should terminate and the chance of losing them until, until the day you deliver, that was like all I heard. I didn't hear.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was then that I knew the risk was 12 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then I know that it was really stressful for you because did you already know that you were going to be hospitalized?
so at that appointment, because he's not the high risk specialist, and this is a very uncommon pregnancy, it happens in 1% of twin pregnancies. He didn't know too much about it. So he said that at 32 weeks, I knew they'd be preemie. I had talked to my doctor before that. I said, they think they're mono. And she said, oh, they're not going to be mono. It's very rare. She's like, but if it is, we'll worry about it. So I knew they'd be preemie. They said around 32 to 34 weeks. And that doctor said at 32 weeks, they'd admit me for monitoring. For 2 weeks, they'd give me 2 rounds of steroids. And then the goal would be to deliver at 34 weeks. Mm-hmm. So they had told me at that point it would be a 2-week hospitalization.
And then, how long were you actually in there for?
5 weeks. So when I went and saw the specialist, the high risk specialist, and she confirmed they were mono, she then told me prepare between 24 to 28 weeks to go inpatient and be on bed rest and be on monitoring. And the reason that they do that is because mono twins. So for the people who don't understand, so you have fraternal twins who have separate sac, separate placenta. That's the least risk of all twins because they have their own nutrients, all that stuff. Then you have, so it's like basically a different house and they're in a totally different room. They have no issues. Then you have identical who have different sacs, same placenta. So same house, different room. My twins are same sac, same placenta. So they're same house, same bedroom. So the risk of like cord entanglement, because think of it, you have one baby in a sac and they have their cord and then just plop a second one in there. They're floating, they're moving, they're like in a balloon with water and they're just swimming. So the risk of cord entanglement is what makes it, so high risk.
Yeah.
So the reason why you're hospitalized is that your babies have a higher chance of survival when they're mono twins, when they're on the monitor, because at any point in time after 24 weeks, they're viable. And if they have any, their heart rate decelerates or anything, they can deliver you at any point. It is safe after 24 weeks to do so. So the reason that they do that, it's like the standard for mono twins. And the latest you're allowed to deliver is 34 weeks max. And it has to be a C-section.
And your twins, actually, their cord was knotted.
Yeah, it was triple knotted. Actually, they took a picture of it for me in the delivery room because in my scans, there showed no signs of any cord entanglement, which was crazy. I don't know if maybe at the end, I don't know, because they checked every day. I had ultrasounds and like the biophysical profiles twice a week when I was in the hospital. And there was no signs of any issue. It was going great. The twins were basically the same size. They were give or take maybe a pound apart, which is nothing. So yeah.
Very, very lucky. Very, very lucky.
Crazy to think that how much you check and like how undetected their cord flow, there was no issue.
And then when they would do those ultrasounds and stuff, I remember that it was like every 8 hours, every 4 hours.
I was on the non-stress test, the NST, that I had to get every 8 hours. So when they first admitted me to the hospital, they had me on it continuously. So the only time I was allowed to get off of it was to pee, which I had basically like 2 minutes. And then to shower, I had 20 minutes max. And I remember my first night I immediately got there, they put me right on. And I said, can I shower? Like, I want to wash my hair. I want to comb it, And they said, you have 20 minutes. And they're like, but you can't do it now. You have to wait till we're ready and blah, blah, blah. And I felt like a prisoner because I'm like, I'm fine. I can shower. I can feel them moving. Like 20 minutes. I can shower for 20 minutes.
Listen, if I'm going to stay in this hotel, I need more than 20 minutes.
So after 3 days, the doctor took me off the continuous because she's like, listen, if you feel lack of movement or your scans aren't doing well or, whatever, they show signs of, we'll put you back on continuous. So every 8 hours, I was on there for 2 hours.
And that Was that the ones that like you get when you're in labor, the like the little
Yes.
circles?
Yes.
Okay.
So because there's 2 babies, I had
4.
yeah, yeah. And then the cords are super tight. I was in excruciating back pain. Sitting on those for 30 minutes isn't a big deal, but I was on it. They said it was supposed to be 2 hours, but sometimes it was way more because with 2 babies in the same sack and then just 2 babies period, they're constantly moving. So when they would have to do it at 2, 3 in the morning, it was miserable, miserable. So I figured out how to like kind of buck the system a little. I would plan it around Logan's visits. Instead of it being every 8 hours, sometimes I did it every 6. And I always did it last thing before I went to bed. So sometimes I'd get off the monitor at like 12 or 1 a.m. That way I had 8 hours to sleep. And I told them like, don't come in my room in the morning. Don't do any vital signs. Just let me sleep for this little chunk. It's my only time I get to sleep, So I figured out how to do it that way.
That makes sense. And that's something that would be really helpful for moms who are going through it too, is to keep that in mind because I mean, even when you're in the hospital post baby, the amount of people coming in and out of your room, it's a lot. And then I can't even imagine before the baby comes for this high risk situation, like it's a lot. What would you suggest for someone who is going through this? Like, what did you do to keep yourself busy? How did you get through it?
So I was lucky. This was right before COVID was a thing. So I had visitors nonstop. We set up I had my visits with you. I knew like my Tuesday, Thursday mornings were with you. I knew I was getting my Einstein's bagel. Oh, my dad would bring me food, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Then, my in-laws would bring me food too. I had friends like you bringing me food. I had snacks in my room. I had pictures of my son and my husband all out, through my room. I had signs and I brought things from home to make it home. My dad got me like a bright comforter.
With donuts on it.
Yeah. Yeah. My donut and my Jojo Siwa comforter was a great touch. And, I made a routine. The first few days were weird because I was used to chasing a toddler and then to go to a hotel, not a hotel.
Sorry, that's my fault.
Go to the hospital and truly have nothing to do. No one needed me, and that was weird trying to figure out a balance. So I would wake up every morning. I would shower. I would make my bed a little bit. I would open the window because it can get depressing, in those 4 walls. I had a small room. Thankfully, I didn't have a roommate. So yeah, I just brought things from home. I had, I would watch TV, my computer, my iPad. People would bring me things to do, and just truly visitors are what got me through. I don't think I could have done it without people being there and being like my little piece of home.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you're in isolation with doctors coming in, just prodding you every once in a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now that so it's wine with weathered mom. So what would you say comparing a vaginal delivery to a C-section? Pros and cons to both, if any.
Yeah. I know that a lot of people opt for C-sections, and I guess because mine, I didn't have a choice to, I don't understand it. A vaginal delivery was so, in my experience, of course, would be different than someone else, because I know not everyone's vaginal delivery is easy. Not everyone's heals right, whatever. I had an uneventful vaginal delivery. The recovery was quick. It was easy. I remember 2 hours after having my son, I was out of the bed. I was walking around, and I was able, it still hurts to sit, but it's nothing like a C-section. The C-section, that recovery is so much longer, so much more painful, and props to the moms who do it and have multiple kids or who don't have help, because it's painful. But I loved the vaginal delivery because you're seeing everything in the room. You're sitting upright for the most part, and you're watching. That baby comes out, you're getting, God willing, everything's okay. You're getting that baby right away, and they're weighing your baby, they're doing everything, and you're seeing it. Whereas C-section, you're laying there, your arms are strapped down, and, for the twins, it was different. We had like 20 people in the room. We had a NICU team for both babies, and then a team for me. So I couldn't see anything. So I'm like strapped turning. I had to like yell to get someone to pay attention. So I think for the C-section, you know, a time and when that baby's coming, as long as it's not emergency. But I don't know. I my vaginal experience, I pros all the way.
But what's crazy is that people say that a C-section is like a way out. And in your experience, it was harder.
Yeah. I mean, so what I noticed was the people I talked to who had only C-section knew no different. They said they loved their C-section. It was amazing and the delivery wasn't bad and everything. And then I realized that they had nothing to compare it to. So of course, your baby, you laid down, your baby came out, everything was good, and you didn't know any other type of recovery. I think the harder part for me was knowing both kinds and
Mhm.
knowing like on those first few days that I wouldn't have been in pain getting up and out of the wheelchair, and I could have just been walking around, you know, not needing help to be lifted. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, to say a C-section is the easy way out. I can't
It's
really,
crazy. It's crazy.
can't relate. Yeah, there's no, like I said, props to the C-section moms. There is no way that that is easier. And I know everyone's delivery is
It's
different.
different, of
So
course.
I know people have had horrible vaginal experience. I've heard horror stories,
Hmm.
but after a few weeks, you know, you're not in pain. Like it took me about a year. Like my C-section, if Logan like kicks it, it's still extremely tender. Not kicks it, but like if I'm holding him and his leg is dangling,
Uh-huh.
still extremely tender. So I mean, yeah, not an easy way out.
And you're not supposed to drive either, right? Like right after, or was that just
Yeah.
you?
No, you're not supposed to drive for 2 weeks. Yeah, I didn't listen to that.
Well, because you also had to go back and forth to the NICU,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So the girls, after they were born, they were put in NICU. And how far away did you live from the hospitals? Like,
About 20 minutes.
okay.
We didn't live far from it, but because the only way to and from it is hitting lights, that's what
Mhm.
takes so long. But it was 20 minutes. It wasn't far at all.
And you went every day afterwards.
Yeah. When I was discharged 5 days after I gave birth, because I was having complications. And yeah, so what I did was I would sleep at home. So I would make someone sleep in the NICU with them for like the first week or so. I made my husband and my mother-in-law did it just so I felt comfortable, like that someone was there or that if something happened, like I
Yeah.
knew, you know. So what I would do is I would wake up, I would eat breakfast with Logan, and then I would go all day. I would do their last feeding, and then I would make it home to see Logan for whatever, whether it was dinner or just to see him before bed, because I didn't want to see him. I wanted to see him because I hadn't seen him in 5 weeks, but I didn't want to see him too much because I don't think he understood that I couldn't hold him and
Mhm.
that I couldn't play with him. And he was freshly 2. He had just turned 2 a week before they were born. So it's kind of hard to explain to a 2-year-old, oh, I haven't seen you or been home in 5 weeks. Don't touch me.
Yeah.
The 2 weeks in the NICU was kind of like a little bit of a recovery for
For
me.
you too. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely hard because in those 2 weeks that they were in the NICU, I should have been resting and, you know, but I was in the NICU, I was doing their diaper changes, their touch, you know, I was doing all that. And then it's a far walk and you could get a wheelchair, but by the time you could wait, I was like, I'm going to walk. I don't want to miss anything more than I am.
Mhm.
I was stubborn, but
You're a unicorn mom. We've talked about this.
probably why I say my C-section hurts a year later, because
Yeah, you didn't recover at all.
I didn't listen to any of the post-op instructions,
But you're a nurse, so nurses don't listen, right?
non-compliant. Yeah, I should listen because I know better, but nope, didn't.
And let's talk about breastfeeding, because since they were preemies, I know not a lot of moms are able to get milk to come in, but you somehow were able to do this. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I was actually writing a post about it too. So after I had Logan, vaginal delivery, my milk came in like, I feel like it was almost immediately. I had something coming out. I remember before I was discharged, they were like, this is great, good job. And then with the twins, the first day I was in the recovery room And I started pumping, and like, I wasn't getting much, but I was getting something. So I was like, oh, it's coming. Your body with preemies and a C-section doesn't have the signs that like labor is coming. So your body kind of has to play catch up a little bit. So I was getting like a little bit. And then like the second, third, and maybe fourth day, I wasn't even getting a drop. Like you remember I was leaking all the time, but when it came giving birth, nothing. I'm pumping for like 20 minutes, nothing. And so it was a little discouraging, thinking, wow, I had to get a C-section and now I can't breastfeed. And so I just stayed on it. I tried pumping. One of the babies was on CPAP, so I couldn't breastfeed her. And the other one was on room air. But I felt because they were preemie, it was just so much more work for them to try to breastfeed to fulfill like me wanting to breastfeed. So I stuck to pumping. And after a few days or so, I latched one of the twins, and she did great, but I could tell how exhausted she was. And my goal was just get them home as quickly as possible. I'll figure out how to latch them when I get home. I wasn't worried that if they didn't actually breastfeed and I had to pump, I just wanted to do whatever I could to get them home. So I mainly pumped while they were in the hospital. I did breastfeed here and there, but when it came time for like they had to finish their bottles to be able to come home, I just strictly was pumping. So they, did the bottles, and when they got home, I latched them. They did great, but I noticed that it was hard to keep them on a feeding schedule when they were only breastfeeding. And I wanted to be able to keep them on that every 3-hour NICU feeding schedule to benefit Logan. So here and there I'd breastfeed, and then I would mainly just pump. It just fit, our schedule better. It was obviously more work to pump because it'd be easier to just plop that baby on and not have to pump, because with pumping I'd have to pump,
like 3 steps,
clean the pump, and but I just did what I could, and I knew that I wouldn't put the pressure on, because not only was it already a lot, it was just breastfeeding too is just a huge pressure. Breastfeeding in general is a huge pressure, I feel like.
For sure.
So I knew this time that I was just going to do my best, whatever that was. And I breastfed when I could and just pumped and, just tugged along. Whatever the day brought me, we just did.
But I think that's so important just for any mom breastfeeding, like it's really hard. I mean, I did it to myself too, and I got stuck in my head. I'm like, am I making enough milk? Are they getting enough food? It's like, I never pumped, but I tortured myself enough.
Because it's the constant worry of, did I feed them enough? Am I producing enough? Is my supply dropping? Oh my gosh, they only ate for 10 minutes as opposed to last time they ate for 30. And it's just a constant battle and game that you play with yourself. And I don't miss it.
Me either.
Well, we quit. Remember, we quit at the same time. The second with the second
babies, second round of kids.
I remember I was so over it, but I felt like, even having done it before, I felt like such a failure because I did it longer with Logan, that, oh my gosh, I didn't give them the same as him. And I remember I brought it up to you one day and you're like, I'm just as over it as you. And I was like,
I'm so sick of it.
Oh my gosh. And it made me like realize it's okay to not do it as long the second time, or,
first time. Yeah.
And that was the road to quitting.
Yeah, it was. That was our sign, since we both were like, okay, this sucks. Let's stop.
And they were like 9 months? Yeah, they were 9 months.
I think. Oh, I thought I quit with Owen. I thought it was like 7. But I think.
Well, the girls are like 3 weeks older. And then.
But you had like a stash. You were still. Sell that.
I froze. I still have like 600 ounces left. I don't know how, but I haven't used it because I forget. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you have a separate freezer, or is that just
in the garage?
Okay, that's why it's out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, because Mark keeps bringing it up to like take it out
and make milkshakes,
especially during COVID and stuff. I should, but I just forget. And convenience wise, like I don't want to unfreeze it, have to heat it, and
Is that how you have to, like, you can't just throw it away or donate it? I mean, I don't know. What do
Throw
you
it away, I would be pained.
I know. What do you do with it? Drink it?
No, I will unfreeze it and I'll just give it to them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's good for actually, oh my goodness, thank you for reminding me. It's good for a year. And I started doing, yeah.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Some of it's about to go bad.
Well, and also if they get sick or if they got a stuffy nose, you're supposed to give it to them or.
Right. Yeah. But I need to get it out. I'm going to do that tomorrow. Remind me tomorrow.
I will. So since you went from 0 to 1 kids and then 1 to 3 kids, which one was harder?
I mean, for different reasons, they're both harder. Like they have their, but I definitely think going 0 to 1 was harder because 0 to 1, you have no idea. People can tell you like, oh, you'll never sleep the same. You'll never sleep again.
You're like,
yeah, but you truly don't know until you have that baby and you realize like, oh my gosh, like they literally don't sleep. You have to do this for them. You have to do that for them. And I think everything being your first is like super overwhelming. You have no idea what you're doing. And not that I have any idea what I'm doing now, but
it's just like familiar. So
yeah, you figure it out, you know, and the same thing the first time you figured out, but this time I just feel like I knew a little more. I was more confident, you know, obviously taking care of more children is obviously harder than one kid.
Right.
At the time, I think back to when I just had one and I'm like, man, this is so annoying to put one in the car and go in and out. And I'm like, oh man, I had it good. But I definitely think the adjustment to one baby is just, it's a smack in the face. Like,
oh, for sure.
You know, nothing can prepare you for it. Where when you have more kids, you know what's kind of coming. You don't know how your kid is going to be, but you kind of know how to groove with it.
Right.
You know, temporary.
Yeah. And so what was the hardest part about actually having twins besides the whole pregnancy hospitalization part?
The hardest part I'd say is just having to do 2 of everything. You know, you finally get like one baby settled, one baby changed, repeat. You know, you're feeding one and you're doing it, you know, everything takes a little bit longer, but I just say the hardest part too is like trying to give them both equal and trying to treat them as individuals while also trying to treat them the exact same. Like trying to find that happy medium, you know, because you don't want to treat them differently, but you also want them to know they're individuals. So I think that's probably, I'd say, the hardest part for me.
And then what would be something that you liked about having 2 twins?
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. You know, double everything, you know, the laughter, the love. I love watching them together. When they make each other giggle, it's just the cutest little thing. And now they started like one will pull each other's shirt and the other one will and they take each other's food. And now they're starting to realize like you're taking my food and they look for me to
intervene.
But it's just double the joy that you feel with one baby. You just feel it 2 times at once, and just watching them together is just amazing. I love it. I love watching them grow that bond that they had before I even knew them.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And what about them in their crib? I know that their cribs are side by side.
Yeah, so they started together. And then when I did sleep training, I separated them. They are like magnets. So they're always at each other's crib, whether they're standing or whatever. They stick each other's arms and legs through. They hold hands through the cribs.
So cute.
Sometimes I go in there so they each get their own pacifiers. And if they have like a bottle or whatever in there, sometimes I go in, one baby will have like 4 pacifiers and just everything in her crib. And the other baby's like standing at the top, like, I've got nothing over here.
Come on, share with me.
Yeah. And they just play like all the time through it. Nap time takes them about 30 minutes to go to sleep because they have to play with each other before. one wakes up, the other one's got to stick her arm through and, jab at her to wake her up too.
Oh my goodness. It's like so cute and not cute. You're like, please sleep, but that's adorable.
It is very cute.
And since now that they are one, when would you say things got easier, that it wasn't so hustle and bustle with the feeding and changing? And
I definitely think getting them on the schedule right away helped. I knew that better this time, compared to just having one. I think finding a routine that worked around my toddler. And then for people who don't have, another baby, just finding that routine that works for you and the babies. And it doesn't have to be anything strict, but just something that's going to ease the day for you. I will say probably when they started sleeping the night, because when you're just dead, waking up and it's like you dread getting up. And it's not that you dread taking care of your kids. It's just like, the same thing. And you don't know how long you're gonna sleep. So I definitely think when they started sleeping the night, things got a little more normal, I guess you could say.
And how did you get them to sleep through the night?
I got a drink for that one.
I was like, hold on.
Oh, so I had tried, I knew that, so they were preemie. So I couldn't sleep train. I think it's typically recommended around 4 months, 13 pounds, don't quote me, but around that range. So because they're preemies, I had to do their adjusted age to do it. I had been trying like sleeping methods to implement and nothing was working. I would go like one baby would be awake and then the other baby would be sleeping, but I'd wake this one because of this. And it just wasn't working. And for all the moms who are going to hate me for saying this, I did cry it out.
I did a poll actually on my Fruits of Motherhood Instagram. And I asked that because it's people are very 100% for it or 100% against it. And it was actually split 50-50.
Really?
Yeah. So the people who would speak up and say, that's awful, whatever, they were the 50% who obviously did not agree with it. And they are the ones who are most likely going to comment that they don't agree with it versus the people who also did it. They're like, oh, okay. And they scroll on, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the cried out with Logan was like last resort. I didn't want to do it. It's torture. It literally is torture, but it is
for the mom.
Yeah, literally for the mom. The kids are fine.
Yeah, they don't care.
Crying never hurt anyone. You know that they're fed. You know that they're clean. You're checking on them. It's not like you're just leaving them high and dry.
Yeah, I was like staring at the baby monitor like,
yeah, like, are they okay? So I knew with the twins I'd probably have to do it because they needed to learn to sleep through each other. They needed to learn to sleep through just a lot. And the other one moving in the crib, the other one talking. And it was really hard because it took me about a week. And with Logan, by the third night, Logan was done. Like he was sleep trained by the third night. So I had the same expectations with the twins. And
it's twice as
later, I remember I was questioning myself, like, am I doing this for nothing? It's not working. They're not getting it. What's going on? And what I realized was that in that week, you have to remember, I don't know who was waking up. I just knew someone was awake. So I knew that they were rotating waking. Sometimes they'd be awake at the same time. And after about a week, there was one baby that still was kind of pressed like harder with it. Once they got it, I did it they were, I think, don't quote me, like 5.5 months, because it would be like 4 months adjusted, around there. They had to be like 16 weeks adjusted, something like that. Knock on wood, they've never woke me since, and they're one. So it worked. I mean, it's the hardest method to do, but it's the quickest and best method because no matter what, if they wake up for it, they know how to put themselves back to sleep. They don't cry to put themselves back to sleep. It's normal to wake up. We wake up all the time in the middle of the night. We just know to go back to sleep where they cry. Yeah. And once I feel like they learn that tool, I mean, there are other methods that I do think work besides having to do cry it out, but it doesn't work for every baby. So, or every mom.
Yeah. And also the fact that you had two, like, the amount of, I don't know. I obviously did cry it out for both my kids and it worked wonderfully. So
I'm awful. I did try different methods with the twins before, just to, I guess, maybe make myself feel like I had done the same with my son.
Yeah.
And it was hard because I'd escalate one twin or I'd wake one twin going in. And a lot of times, like, I'd do all the steps for like one baby, finish, go to bed. And then the other baby was waking me up and I'd have to do everything for that. And it was just like a never ending thing of me being awake and it not working. And I was like, yeah, I can't do this.
Yeah, moms need sleep. Babies need sleep. Like everyone is happier with sleep.
Yeah. I mean, I knew the end goal was for us all to be happier. And I think that's what helped me stick to it was, you know, I remember the first time with Logan, I felt like a piece of shit.
You can curse. Remember, my husband said, keep your mouth dirty.
But I'm like, here I am laying in my bed, letting my kid cry so that I can sleep. And I feel like I tortured myself in my thoughts. Yeah. And then once he was sleep trained, I'm like, wow, he is a much happier baby. He's just a different, and I feel like a better, different person that I'm getting sleep now too. I have more energy and
you can, for sure.
Yeah. I'm all for it. Mess
Okay. And then, so since you are a twin mom expert, I would say, since you lived through the first year, what are some things that you could not live without, like products wise?
I loved our Twinsy pillow. That was great for if they wanted to nap.
It was like
an E almost, or
like
a W.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a boppy, but if it's a little expensive, but I feel like it's worth it. We still use it, not necessarily for them to like sit there and lay and drink on it, but we use it. Like Logan uses it. I use that to breastfeed when I would try to do both at the same time. That was very hard, but I would try to breastfeed both at the same time on that. Or when they would nap, just having like your arms up on it, holding them at the same time, that was comfortable. What else was it that I loved?
I saw that you had this kind of like pillow.
Oh, yes, the bottle propper.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Probably not approved, but I used it because there's certain groups that say don't bottle prop, and you know, obviously within safe limits, or you know, but it's almost physically impossible to tend to multiple children, especially twins, without having to put a bottle here and there. So I had a bottle propper. Those things were amazing, and then I just passed them on to friends, and it's just a gift that keeps on giving because every busy mom needs to sometimes prop a bottle, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I've seen those videos of families of like 8 children, you know, like I'm not even exaggerating. Yeah, they're all, how do you feed 8 kids? Like you literally don't have enough time in the day. They're hungry every 15 minutes.
Yeah. You know, the idea is not that you're bottle propping and you're walking away so you can take a shower. Right. You're doing it and you're there watching them, and the goal is to just get them fed at the same time, keep them on the schedule, keep them happy. And while you do that, like for me, while I could do that, I didn't always do it every bottle. You know, sometimes we would hold them, sometimes my son would help, whatever. I hold them and do it. But the idea was just that I could sometimes feed them and I could eat my lunch. I could tend to my toddler. It's just to be able to feel a little human in there. I don't think there's anything wrong with having to improvise a little bit to survive.
Oh, for sure. And then I also saw that you had a carrier, twin carrier.
It's called the mini monkey, I think it was.
Do you still use it?
I haven't used it in the last like few weeks because they're getting heavy. Oh, I did use it. When I went to Disney, I used it.
Aww.
I liked it because that one can carry them up to both. I think each could be 30 pounds.
If you can still carry 60 pounds, because that's heavy.
So when I did that in Disney, it was heavy, but they were happy. So like, it's heavy, but because they're happy, it makes it so much easier. And it's, you know, it's not for you to be able to do dishes because your arms are kind of like around them. There are times where if I have to I put my arms like this way and their heads are like on the side. But at least for like 5 seconds, I can maybe do like some little tasks, but otherwise like to just hold them both and make them both happy at once. Like I love that carrier. I had looked into different ones, but a lot of them, the weight limit was like 10 pounds each. And
they passed that a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like this one.
That's awesome. And then, so you have a blog that you started and you talk about all this stuff too, right? Like being a twin mom, your hospital stay, and you're still writing more.
Yes, I have a lot I haven't launched yet because when we moved, I just got behind. But the goal of my blog is not just even only twin moms, but just moms in general, just survival and knowing it's okay. And, you know, just the transitions, whether you have one baby, two babies, triplets, that you just got to do what you got to do. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Because I feel like and I'm sure you felt the same way with your first one, you learned so much, not only about being a mom, but all the opinions and everything that everyone says. And I think if more new moms knew it's okay to set boundaries, it's okay to say no, it's okay to do things your way, which might be totally different than your best friend or your sister or your brother, however they did things with their kids, that it's just okay to just figure out what works for you and your family. Because from my family to yours, yeah, we did a lot of things the same, but then a lot of things that worked for your kids won't work for mine, and, you know, and vice versa. So I think it's just figuring out that it's okay no matter what you do.
Yeah. So. And then I know you have a wonderful husband. What does he do that helps you the most? Physical or emotional? Like, how is he your rock?
I definitely think he's super hands-on, which helps. I feel like I never have to tell him to like step up and be a dad. He just, he knows. And, you know, when we transitioned to the 3 kids, he knew that it was easier for him to do the toddler than the twins, because the twin stuff was like new, it was preemie, you know, whatever. So he just basically would handle most of the toddler stuff and then help with the twin stuff, and vice versa, because I couldn't hold Logan and, you know, stuff like that. But he just stepped up, and, you know, he's always been a good dad. I've never had to say like, you need to do this for our kids. And I think that's a huge help in itself.
Oh, for sure.
Having old, you know, just doing things. So no matter what it is, whether it's as simple as just a diaper change and, you know, just being a man, being a dad. Yeah. But yeah, he's definitely helped, you know, when I need my time, he tells me go. You know, I think he can figure out when I need my time now, you know, and I think that helps a lot too. Is just recognizing in your partner when they need something.
And what do you do for yourself at the end of the day for you to take care of yourself? What's your advice?
I love to order Cold Stones on Uber Eats.
Be more specific. What type of ice cream?
I'm so basic. I order the same thing every time. I love to get my chocolate ice cream with Reese's and sprinkles. And if Uber Eats offers it, I get marshmallows. But other than that, like at the end of the day with, you know, a crazy day with the kids, I like to go get my nails in, which I did yesterday. My husband said, go get your nails done. I ran out of that house fast.
Is it black?
It's Lincoln Park After Dark. It was supposed to be, I thought it was black, but it's apparently like
the dark purplish red.
Yeah. So I like to do that, or like, you know, seeing some friends and trying to focus on anything but being a mom for just even an hour, you know, helps. That's like my little out.
No, I think that will help other people too, just to know it's okay to feel that way, you know, it's okay.
Yeah. I think at first I didn't let myself do those things. And I think the more you realize like you need that little hour, whether you go sit in your car in front of your house because you're afraid to leave your kids, or you go get your nails done, or you see a friend for an hour, or just run to Target for an hour, that hour or whatever you do, you need it and you deserve it. And it's
okay. It doesn't make you a bad mom. I was guilty too of doing the same thing with my first kid, like the anxiety. I did not want to leave him. I just I don't know. It comes with the territory with the first mom thing, but
yeah,
eventually you figure it out.
I mean, I still don't want to leave them. I feel guilty for leaving them, but I know I need to leave them because I know how much better I feel after.
Right.
You know, you
100%.
Time, of course. You know, you don't ghost them, but
no, and I always time myself. What?
Maybe today I ghosted them a little, but
it was for a podcast. It was for a good reason. What was I gonna say?
We can ghost our kids more often for a podcast. I'm okay.
We'll do it again tomorrow night.
Same place, same time.
Yeah. Same hairdo.
Yeah.
What was I gonna mention? I was gonna say something about that. I don't know if I can remember. Anyways, okay, so I ask everyone the same 2 questions at the end of the show podcast, because on the same topic that we were just talking about, I want to normalize motherhood. You know, we're no longer that generation that thinks that motherhood has to be perfect. We all make mistakes and we're okay with admitting that.
Yeah.
So, and we also know that motherhood is hard. So what is your least favorite part of motherhood, and what is your favorite part of motherhood?
I definitely would say my least favorite part is the mom guilt. I think that you have mom guilt no matter what, whether you're taking time for yourself for an hour, or at the end of the day, you put your kids to sleep and you're like, did I do enough? Did I give enough attention? And I feel like mom guilt is just a horrible feeling. And
it is.
Really, no matter how much you try to fight it, it's always there. You know, it's just a feeling that if you're not worried about one thing, you're worried about the next thing. And yeah, I'd say that would be my least favorite part. My favorite part, now having the 3 together, I just love watching them together. I love watching them, something pop up. I love watching them learn and just play together, and I just think their bond is just so cool, because I know how it is, you know, growing up around siblings, and then just to watch their bond truly start from the beginning is just,
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I have to say, like, seeing my 2 kids like play together. Like,
I love seeing them roughhouse.
Yeah, well, that too. But the peekaboo that they're starting to play, like around the corners in the house, like it makes me, that is my happiest moment of the day. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. I know everything that you're talking about with your twin pregnancy, and other moms who are going through the same thing, they're going to know that it's going to be okay. You know, if you are not already following The Weathered Mom on Instagram, Facebook, whatever your jam is, you can check her out. Also, her blog is theweatheredmom.com.
That Linda created. Check out my graphics.
I might have had something to do with it. And I love you from the bottom of my heart.
I love you.
Is there any... Oh, if anyone else has any other questions, they can reach out to you on Instagram and totally bother you. She's not a complete bitch. And
not all the time.
And my motherhood journey would just not be the same without you. Like, I just love that. It's crazy that we have kids literally the same age, you know. It's been wonderful. So thank you.
I agree. I couldn't do without you. But I'm not trying to cry.
Yeah, well, we won't do that because we put makeup on for this. So,
you know, yeah, once in a blue moon, we get to pretty up our faces.
Once in a year.
Yeah, this was quite an event for me.
Me too. Look, hair, makeup.
Hair done.
The babies have someone else taking care of them.
Bye.
Alrighty, bye everybody.
Bye.
Hey mama, do you enjoy a nice glass of wine after or during a long day of motherhood? Guess what? Me too. I want to tell you about Revel Wine Club. It's my new favorite way to get wine. Revel Wine Club is a personalized wine service tailored to your taste, budget, and lifestyle that makes buying great wines super easy. Tell them what type of wine you like, how many bottles, choose red, white, or both. Tell them how often you'd like each shipment. Receive, sip, and enjoy, girl. Check out which wine I'm drinking right now by going to fruitsofmotherhood.com/wine. The way we spend our money has changed a lot since we've had children. So to help with that mom guilt and the need to buy cute things, the Fruits of Motherhood shop is donating proceeds of each sale to Every Mother Counts. EveryMotherCounts.org is a nonprofit organization that works to improve access to quality maternity care around the world. Buy a hat, a shirt, or anything else in the Fruits of Motherhood shop, and you'll be helping a mom in need. Just go to fruitsofmotherhood.com/shop and use the promo code podcast to get 10% off anything in the store. That's fruitsofmotherhood.com/shop, promo code podcast.